from Epix Systems again. This is the second part of the how to add a contract or how to edit contracts within the system, and this covers the advanced features that you might want to use within the contract setup. Now, not all systems have the advanced features switched on, it just depends on whether you use them or not. But to get at them, they are found within the same place that we would do a normal contract setup. So I always do this from creating a job, by choosing the client name that we want to do this for, then pressing the plus button next to contract. And this steps us into the client setup wizard at the new contract step here, and any existing contracts are listed here, and of course we can enter our new information here. All of that information on how to do that is covered in our previous video in this series about how to add or edit contracts. Now, the checkbox that you're looking for within the setup screen, so that you know you have the advanced settings, is down here at the bottom of the contract information, as if you're going in to create a new one, and it's show advanced contract options, and when we tick on there it reveals some additional fields here that we can use to fill in for the additional or advanced options when you're setting up a contract. Similarly, of course, you can press the edit button for an existing contract, and you can then tick to reveal this information, and you can make those changes and press update here. We'll begin with the advanced options here for the allowed variation. Now, this goes hand in hand with the treat undelivered as a variation as well. And what this relates to, it relates to the variation limits that you may well set against a contract for a particular type of work with your client. So, for example, if your client allows you to vary the works order, say up to £100, then having a allowed variation of £100 would allow you to increase the value of the sales on the job up to £100. If you went above that, that would then trigger the variations process, where you would then need to request from the client to go over that as a variation to the works. Similarly, if you change this down here as well by including a tick here, this will mean that if you under-deliver on the job, then that is also classed as a variation. So if you were receiving a work order with a single SOR code or a single sales line on there that you were supposed to be delivering that was a value of, say, £25, and you didn't do that one, then that would be under-delivered. That would also be treated as a variation because you have under-delivered on the original work order. Very importantly though, if you do have the advanced tick box, and when you look down here there is nothing in that box, if you leave that blank, it will treat that as a zero variation. So basically anything on the job will be classed as a variation. So if you were to have a sales line that was the original ordered value, and then you were to add another one on top, but your customer doesn't deal in variations at all, then this will hit the variation process and will become a bit annoying for you. So the best thing to do in this case, if the contract you're setting up doesn't work from variations at all, then the way I set these up for customers is I put a really large number in that box. And what that just simply means is that every time you add more sales lines to a job when you're costing it up and you're building up an invoice, then as long as you don't go over the very large number, you won't trigger the variation process. The next field down here for the post-inspection setting here, this is a numeric value again. So if you were to be doing post-inspections for a client, say you were with an arrangement that on this particular contract you were supposed to post-inspect 1 in every 10 jobs, say, then the number 10 in here would mean that in every 10 jobs, a post-inspection job would automatically be raised for you. If you are doing post-inspections, you may choose actually not to use this at all, because what this does is it will post-inspect 1 job in every 10 randomly across the contract. So if you work on a national geographic area, then this could potentially raise you a post-inspection one day down south, and then the next one that you do could be up north in Scotland, for example. So that would be really impractical to manage. So some of our customers, what they do is they simply hand pick themselves from a geographic area a selection of different types of jobs so that they can post-inspect those as well, and that often fulfills the client's requirements. So it's entirely up to you, but if you do put a value in here, that's what this does. It raises a post-inspection job, 1 job in every whatever number you type here, so in this case 10. the next tick box down here for combining multiple jobs into a single invoice. As you'll know, when you generate your invoices from a normal contract, when you say select 10 jobs from the list of jobs ready to be charged and you process those, what you'll end up with is 10 invoices, one per page for example. What this does is it will combine all those invoices into one. So what you'll get is you'll get a single invoice number to cover, say, 10 jobs. And we will show you those 10 jobs combined into the invoice layout, where we'll shrink them slightly. So what you end up with is a details of the job and any SOR codes that you might have delivered if that's what you're showing. But they will not show you the net, the VAT and the total on a job by job basis. It will just simply list the jobs, and then at the bottom of the invoice you'll get your totals. So a multiple charge invoice is generated on a contract basis by ticking this box here, and that will give you an invoice for multiple jobs altogether, but under one invoice number rather than separate invoice numbers for each job. And finally, on the setup for advanced options, the application or invoice. So this is a drop down list, and in here you've got three choices: the as customer, application or invoice. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to select what is generated when you press the generate invoice button from within a job. So by default with this particular one, the customer is set to generate an invoice. So this is going to be behaving exactly the same as the customer. If the customer was something different, say applications, you could then choose invoices for this particular contract. Similarly, of course, if this particular contract you're going to be processing them through the application, certificates and then final invoice process, then you could set this to an application. So any of the other contracts here that might be set up as invoices, the new one that we're about to create here, this would generate applications instead. Now of course, once you've made any changes or you've completed this form, like we did on the previous video where we created the contracts, you do need to copy any assets, if that's what you want to do, to link them to this new contract, and of course work types and linking to any cost codes if necessary. And you would press your add button here to add that new contract. Any questions on anything you've seen here, then don't hesitate to go